jump in the back of the pickup truck and join us for a ride back to the good old days.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A nostalgic podcast based on entertainment and memories from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Come with us and revisit the best time ever. So jump on your BMX bike, pop a heavy metal tape into your Walkman, and hang on tight while you go back to the past with us.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, they're pop rocks. They crackle in your mouth.
Well, what's wrong? Something you might have heard about mixing pop rocks and soda?
Well, supposedly, your stomach and your intestines, everything burst.
Really? Anyone you know die this way?
Mikey, from the cereal commercial. Give it to Mikey, he'll eat anything.
Mikey likes it.
Hey all, welcome to Pastimes at 80's High. Got a fun episode for you today. We are going to do our variety show, or, Mish-Mash, if you will. 7 different categories. I have the guys here with me, of course. Mark, hello.
Hi, how you doing, AJ?
Hanging in there. Kevin.
Hello.
And hello, Donald.
8.
Hello. Awesome. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be a great one. And Kevin, you said you wanted to say something real quick.
Well, I was just going to say that you should all reach out to us at pta80h@gmail.com. That's pta80h@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. See what you got to say about what we're doing. Good, bad, indifferent. Let us know.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to say, we can't thank you guys enough, man, for all the downloads, all the 5-star reviews, the messages. It's just, we're loving it. And we're going to get some social media up and running, and the website should be coming real soon. So keep your eyes out for that. And please do email us. We love that. Awesome. So without further ado, we're going to get kicked off with category number 1 today, and that is going to be your favorite 70s or 80s hangout / venue, whatever you want to do there. But anyway, Kevin, you do have the on-hairs.
So
Much ado about nothing.
Much ado about nothing. So I'm going to start off with a venue here that, well, probably maybe 100 or so people have heard of. It was where I spent most of my time in that era. It was my buddy Paquette's house, and we'll just say that. We won't get any other names involved, but anybody that was there would remember.
Yes.
They had a large piece of property on the outskirts of town. There was a man-made pond and a huge field that went out to the highway. So there was lots of excitement that happened in that place, lots of fun. I can remember being 14 years old, and again, we're talking about a different era. I can remember walking through it was Shop and Save then, with 3 or 4 of us and my buddy's mom and 4 carriages full of beer.
Yes. Thanks, Mom.
Exactly. I mean, today they would crucify you if you did that, and probably rightfully so.
Right.
But this was our freshman year. We had gotten some newspaper roll ends that were like 12, 14 feet long, and me and another kid had built this fire. The place was out of control. People were leaving, all the seniors were leaving their parties and coming to this, and they became legendary. After that, every time the police heard there was a party at Paquette's house, they would send a school bus and arrest everybody and process them.
Awesome.
But that's what it turned into. But it originally started out as a place we went to. I'd look at my parents when I was a kid and be like, oh, I'm staying at Paquette's house for the weekend or whatever else. And who knows where I went
exactly.
and what I did.
Yep.
But we had a grand time there. I mean, like I said, it started with bunny hopping each other on our BMX bikes, and it led up to us, ripping apart car engines and rebuilding them. And that man-made pond never really got finished. So they were like where the earth had been removed, there were banks on the side that again started. We would make paths with our BMX bikes, and then later down the road we would buy like beat up Toyota Corollas for $200 and literally have like smash up derbies driving around.
Yeah,
the pond.
that's awesome.
It was awesome. So we had a great time there. Lots of debauchery, lots of, I mean, any scene that you can think of from a coming of age movie from that era, all of those Dazed and Confused, whatever, any of them that you saw played out there, whether it was fist fights, I remember walking out of the house, maybe one of the first or the second parties, and just being absolutely polluted on alcohol at a very young age.
Naturally.
Like walking up to like the hottest senior girl and being like, "You're so pretty," and then yakking all over. It was all of those movies in one, and then and more.
Awesome.
So that was our hangout. That's where we had all the fun.
Sounds like tons of fun to me, man. Awesome. That's great. And we did everything so much younger back then. You know what I mean? Like you talk about being 12 or 14 and just the mom buying beer. Like nowadays, it's like the kids are, I can't explain it, but we all know how the times are different. Awesome, though. Okay, brother Mark, this is to you. 70s, 80s hangout.
Okay, AJ, this is going to shock you, obviously. It would be at the Common in Littleton, New Hampshire.
Shocking, yeah.
More specifically, the part called Apthorpe.
Yes.
The rough and tumble area of Littleton, New Hampshire, called Apthorpe. We would hang out at the Common, and the Apthorpe gang, there was so many of us, and we, like I've talked about this before, like Fat Albert, we stuck together big time.
Oh, God, I remember.
And we would sit up there, and it's kind of like Hard Times from Ace Frehley. Go to the park and space our heads out. But we weren't on anything other than skull.
Yeah.
Our lips almost fell off, for God's sakes. Back in the day, we were chewing a can a day, no matter if we wanted it or not, because we just needed to do it.
Yep, exactly.
And we would just sit around and talk. And, I lived in Guilford, New Hampshire at this point. So, I mean, all I had to do when I got up to Aunt Sill's, the great house at Coreywood, I call it.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Based on Collinwood and from Dark Shadows. But anyway, I would just, I'd say hi to everybody. And all I had to do was walk up Remington Street and take a left, and they were always there. And they would greet me with love and just get so excited. And,
awesome.
It was just a fun time.
Absolutely.
It was where I felt loved, particularly, like with you, AJ, in Hinsdale, New Hampshire. I lived in Guilford, New Hampshire, where I had zero friends, and I felt so awesome every time I went up there.
Yep, definitely. That's how I felt when Donnie would come to Hinsdale, the luggage.
Yeah.
It would just make my day. I'd be so psyched. But that's a great pick. I knew you were taking that right out of the gate, brother.
Well, yeah, but Donnie was great luggage, He was fun. He would sit out in the back, and we'd all have a blast going down there. David would be driving what did he drive? Citation?
The Citation with the greatest car stereo.
Alpine stereo
in history.
And he would friggin' do light shows with it. He would like go with a beat and just do all these light shows with the overhead light.
Awesome.
So that was a lot of fun.
You guys must have been rich in Alpine.
No, David actually
his
worked
money.
his ass off. Yeah.
He worked construction.
Mooney Construction.
And
he probably
the car
had
was a piece of shit, but the stereo was
worth way more than the car.
$1,500
No
stereo
question. Yep.
Yeah, we were in the Craco. That's who we didn't have Alpine or Kenwood. We had Craco.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that's my number. My pick on favorite hangout, AJ.
All right. Well, mine's probably going to be an obvious one. I had to take it just going through my memories, and I really struggled with another one, which I won't say until after you go, Donnie. But for me, it has to be Weir's Beach. It's just such a great memory to me because, first of all, I think I was 11 when I started my job at the Pier restaurant, working for John Piccolomini. and God rest his soul, just working at the Pier restaurant with you, Donald, so many others, our buddy VJ, Ben worked there, and the place itself, it's, not, it's kind of not comparable, but if you took like the movie The Lost Boys, when they're all hanging out on the boardwalk, and it was just a tiny little area, but thousands congregated there, arcades and the beach and, just the food and the women. Like, we would drive through there and just, in non-rolling traffic and drive through, loop around, do it again. And we would just do that until hopefully we'd see some girls that we really were into, and then they'd reciprocate. And, it's really important to me. I mean, I'd say from, 9 years old through probably even younger, but through 22 years old, going to the bars. And it was just important to me. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to roll on too long. So I will go to you then, Donald.
Cool. Well, I had to pick the place that I hung out the most, and that was your house on Prescott Hill Road.
So proud of
because
you.
I mean,
Which one?
the Prescott Hill Road.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's
That
the
was 80s.
majority. I did spend a lot of time in Hinsdale, but the Prescott Hill house, I mean, we played cellar ball there, wiffle ball there.
Foul beaker.
I mean, Mark, we hung out there.
Yes, we did.
Remember when David moved out? We took over that
room
upstairs.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for you because you didn't smoke at the time, but me and AJ were smokers. And that little tiny ass room, we had like 3 chairs. And we just.
Dave's old bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah. Upstairs, and poor Peggy,
Oh, I know. Poor.
remember
we're just loafing around, and we'd eat at 2 a.m. in the morning and just clean out the fridge and, whip up weird meals of whatever was in the fridge. But we weren't out getting in trouble. And, we were just staying at home doing nothing really, just watching TV and drinking and
Absolutely. I'm
killing
so
time. Yeah.
happy on ping pong. Oh, darts.
Is that the
everything
house that I
down
looked
there.
at a couple years ago, AJ? The gray one with the
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Blue.
Yeah.
With
How
that
odd would that have
miserable
been if
front porch.
Yeah.
I still have a reoccurring dream that I'm in the house just doing whatever, like everyone still lives there, and all of a sudden the new owners in there come up. What the hell are you doing in this house? I'm like, oh my God.
We don't live
I think
here
we all
anymore.
have that
Yeah.
dream about at some point. I think we all have that dream about the house that we grew up in.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You like
Yeah.
go home drunk and walk into the house.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no,
There's
this
other
is
people there, but
Oh, yeah.
but it
I mean,
was
the
it was-
Weirs Beach was cool. I mean, we definitely did a lot in Weirs Beach, and I did a lot of Manchester Elm Street cruising before they changed the road pattern down there.
Yeah. Mhm.
That was a big cruising spot.
Yeah.
back in
Same
the day.
idea, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm just so happy you picked that, Don, because I was just thinking in my mind for some reason at a younger time, but that could have been my pick, man. Just
Yeah.
we lived in that basement, and David's room, and we had so much fun. Just
I
so
used to call that
happy.
the Buddy Pal room because I'd go in there and put all my beers on the windowsill during the winter and just sit there and pound. Sorry, I wouldn't recommend it, but
Awesome. Great picks. Okay.
Nice.
So we are back to Kevin for our second pick here, which is going to be favorite 80s horror movie.
I only had one place that I could go with that, and that was The Shining.
great pick.
As much as in that era, I went through all the slasher stuffs, and I'm not going to name them as they might be on somebody's list. But that movie with a minimal amount of gore, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, who was the guy? Tony, oh crap, I can't think of his name. He was a very famous effects artist. Those guys that were like in their heyday in the 80s had nothing really to do with them. It wasn't that gory stuff. It was suspense. I mean, Kubrick scared the shit out of you with that movie.
And Stephen King.
It's got a New Hampshire. It's got a New Hampshire tie to it too. So that
Yeah, absolutely. And pretty interesting because obviously being a King novel, and I grew up reading a lot of King stuff. I really liked his descriptiveness and the way that he wrote. But there was a lot of tension between Kubrick and King, because King wrote a screenplay and Kubrick was like, nah, don't need it. And then if you look at the beginning of the movie, in the book, he's driving a red Volkswagen Beetle. In the movie, he's driving a yellow one. And as there's no car crash in the book, as he's driving up the hill to go to the overlook, there's a red Volkswagen Beetle crushed on the side of the road, which
Sounds
they
like they didn't
speculate.
like each other.
Well, yeah, it was Kubrick's way of looking at King and going, yeah, it's my story now. Then, of course, there's lots of speculation that it was really kind of an admission on Kubrick's part about allegedly faking the moon landing, because they brought him in. He actually did work with NASA for a while to sexy up the space program.
Right.
And he had just made the movie prior to that was Barry Lyndon, which he used the lenses that NASA had created to look into deep space. And basically, so it was a
Did Kubrick do the 2001,
Space Odyssey?
Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Well, he did the first one.
Yeah.
He only did 13 movies in something like 40 years, but every one of them was an epic. You know, from Full Metal Jacket to Eyes Wide Shut, Spartacus, just so many great, Lolita, Clockwork Orange.
Trippy.
Amazing. There's like, I really am a student of his films, and there's so much. Every time I go to read something about him, I'm like, really, that was he was, there's, again, The Shining, there's speculations that because there's scenes where the furniture changes. So it's changing perspective, and there's a lot of people theorize that it's actually told from Wendy's state of mind. She's the one losing her mind and imagining all this about him. And so there's
Wendy's the wife.
Yeah, the wife.
Wendy's the wife. Yep. Okay. Give me the bat, Wendy. Give me the bat.
Wendy. Darling, light of my life. I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
I love the Troy.
Just how jacked up he was getting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They could have. I can't even fathom anyone else playing that part, man. He's
absolutely not. Yeah. And that's the last thing I'll say about Kubrick is that, like, he had the patience to get it right, and he would drive a lot of actors crazy. He made Nicholson cross the street 50 times to get one small clip that would, did it mean anything? Who knows? It did to Kubrick, so he made Nicholson do it 50 times.
Awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah. That's because he's good.
Yes.
Great pick. All right, brother. That's to you then.
AJ, can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
I had a feeling.
Here it is, Jennifer. Your big break on TV. Welcome to the prime time, bitch.
Yes. You want to name the movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, also known as Dream Warriors.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
And, Dream Warriors.
Great song.
This movie could also go down as a horror comedy, I think, to me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
It got to that. It progressed to that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Go ahead, brother.
We have, the aforementioned Jennifer. You have Taryn with, that was awesome. She's down there with Freddie thinking, oh, I got this. I'm going to kick his ass. And then, wait. We're old friends, you and I. Remember? Let's get high.
Yes.
And what was that in her, like, around the needle tracks? They were
little like the holes were like suction cups, like sucking,
Yes,
waiting for the needles. Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in 40 years, but I remember that.
Oh, such a great movie. And, just all the characters had their special powers in the dreams. And
Yes.
it was just, such a great pick.
My favorite scene in the movie is when Joey, he's in love with the nurse, as we know.
Yes.
And she was a smoke show.
She damn
And
well
I'm like,
was.
oh, good. Gratuitous sex scene. I love it. I love it. Then next thing you know, here comes Freddy's tongue.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, are you tongue-tied?
Yeah,
and that was
awesome.
his.
Ties him to the
And then you had Philip. He became a marionette through his veins.
Oh, that
And
was one of
next
the
thing you
best
know-
scenes.
Yeah, that was
and
was
the way
creepy.
they ripped out.
Yeah.
and he was the puppet master.
And then all
Yeah.
Freddy had to do, because he drew him out to the ledge, cut his veins, and there he went to his death. And all the time, the lead guy there thinks that these are all suicides. Let me ask you something, people. If you were ever contemplating suicide, would you consider taking a TV in a hospital and diving through the fucking thing?
7 feet
It was
off the
like
ground
mounted
too. Yeah, exactly.
You gotta jump into it.
Awesome. So I actually wrote a few movies down here, Mark, because
You knew I was picking at.
I had a feeling. So I'm going with Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Yes.
I mean, Freddy Krueger is just my favorite horror villain. And a lot of it has to do with the humor throughout. Just the first and the third are without a doubt the greatest two. The other ones, But the first one to me just was it had a little bit of that humor in it for sure, but just it was the scary one to me. You know what I mean?
pretty scary.
Because
You
we
know,
didn't
I
what
mean,
was going
I didn't
on
write
at
down the year, but it's just, at that point in my life, I was pretty damn young, and that was a fucking creepy thought.
84.
Yeah. So, yeah, what was 84? So I was 12, just like several of my other picks here. And it was just, Johnny Depp in it. Robert Englund is just, is that how you say his last name? I always wonder.
Englund?
Yeah, if it's Englund or England or England.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, I don't know.
just great. And something that I didn't pick up on until recently was that he was one of the supernatural demons in Stranger Things. And
I think I recall that. Yeah.
Now the name left
He
me,
was in
but-
like a made for TV alien show called V too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
sure was.
Yep.
Sure
Yep.
was. But anyway, just such a great movie. I mean, I could have went with so many different things here. I mean, I have 6 written down, I think. But that movie to me was just, it had it all. It was fun as hell. It was scary. Great concept. So that's all I'll say about it, though, because I was going to go with 3 if you went with 1, Mark. So I just doubled it up there. All right, Donald. So do you.
All right. So horror movies is not like I don't like the genre. I don't like horror flicks. So it was hard for me, but I love the Freddy Krueger Dream Warriors. That was because it was like funny.
Yes.
Yes,
it was.
But I picked Aliens. So the first
So that's the
Alien
second
was
okay. Yep. Okay.
It was the second one.
Yep.
The first one was really scary. But the second one was just cool, and it kind of dips into sci-fi a little bit too, but it is horror.
Awesome.
And I just love the Sigourney Weaver character and
yeah, she was bad.
Michael Biehn. So Michael Biehn is like kind of like an actor who, he was James Cameron's go-to.
Yep.
Like James Cameron used him in like a ton of movies. And he always plays like a Navy SEAL or a military guy, and he wasn't, but he nails the part.
Nice.
And he was awesome in that movie. And, there's guns and shooting and, creatures. And it was just an awesome movie. So
Awesome.
that's where I went with that one.
That's a great pick. Awesome. So let's see. Pick number 3 here to you, Kevin, and that is going to be favorite 80s pop song.
Whew. Wow.
What a tough one, huh?
Right? I mean, there was a lot of finalists, but I ended up coming down to just a song that I absolutely loved, and that was Rick Springfield, Jesse's Girl.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was just, it's just a great song. You can't not sing along with that. I mean, it's like you've got Unrequited Love, you've got poppy guitar licks, you've got the guy that was on a soap opera singing it.
Yep.
I mean, it's a great song.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. And she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like...
Actually was inspired by his buddy Gary, Gary's girlfriend, and Rick. The three of them were in a, I think a pottery class or a stained glass making class. And he never even met the woman, doesn't know her name, knows nothing about her, just got the idea of the song because he's sitting there watching Gary having a good time with his hot chick.
Nice.
And so he just thought maybe Gary, but I don't think it would have really had the zing that it had if it was, I wish that I had Gary's girl.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Doesn't really ring true. So, but what a great pop song from that era.
Great pop song. And my sister, Robin, brought me to Boston one day to this like big high money hairdresser so that I could get my hair like Rick Springfield. And when I left, I still had my same mullet and I looked nothing like him. It was like, I forget how expensive it was, but
I went to a concert on the river down in Manchester
with Rick Springfield.
The river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But no, he was actually good in concert, but back then we were just happy to see a concert. So I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He's awesome. He was on, I forget the show now, but I think it was Californication. Man, it was pretty funny. He's pretty dirty in it though, but all right. So 80s pop song to you, Mark.
Okay, this is a song by a band called Reflex. It's called The Politics of Dancing. Probably the best pop music year of all time, 1983.
Nice.
And it was just such a grooving song and just kind of ballsy in a way. And to me, why it means something to me is that year I went out on a trip. I worked as a page at the State House in Concord, and we went on a trip to Quebec City. The time of my life, it was such a fun time. And I got to tell you, these politicians, they started drinking whiskey at 6:45 on the bus ride.
I know where you're going with this.
What? Me getting hit by a car?
Yes,
I did get hit by a car. I'm up in I'm in Quebec City. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm just like, oh, these are my peeps. I mean, if they're gonna start drinking, I guess I have to. And we were at the Parliament up there with this like 6-7 course meal, and I'm like falling asleep and hammered, trying to eat. And as we left, me and my roommate at the time, I don't remember his name or anything, but I went to cross the street and they drive like crazies up there and I got hit and, I tore my jacket and, so I'm looking over at the person stopped and I'm like, go, I'm fine. And I did get hit. And, anyway, I laughed my head off after that. And as it turned out, I was the Speaker of the House on the way back from Quebec City was like, he came up with a quiz or a quiz question. Okay, who on his first trip to Quebec City ever was hit by a car? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Mark White? And it was just, it was really funny. So, the politics of dancing.
Probably could have sued and been living a life of luxury right now. But
no, I think my BAC was a little above the.
Hey, it doesn't matter. They hit you.
That probably
You
saved
can
my
be as
life.
drunk as you want,
Probably
man.
saved my
It was
life.
Quebec City, and probably you would have gotten like a profuse apology.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, but
Well,
Oh,
I gotta jump in here for a second because one of the casts I love is Top 5 with Joey Casada, and I'm wondering, Mark, because in one of their stories, they go to Canada, and anyway, while they were there, he talks about hitting someone with their car. Maybe it just happened to be
Maybe
you.
it was me.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No, I was in
It was
Quebec.
fucking
Okay, that
funny
made no
though.
sense.
how old were you at that time, Mark?
18.
18. So, all right.
Wow.
So you
And I
got
was
that.
fighting. I
So
was
you were at
fighting
the
them.
drinking age there. Yeah.
Yes, but I almost got fired because I went to a meeting and I was very passionate about the drinking age not going to 21 from 20 because I didn't want to wait an extra year. And that was my motivation. That was it. And I spoke up at a hearing and I almost got fired because I wasn't supposed to, but they pretty much grabbed me by the
Because they didn't
balls
want to
and
hear an 18-year-old bitching about the drinking age changing. That could present a problem.
Well, no, I just wasn't supposed to get involved in any legislation, but I did. And guess what? It failed.
So,
And I was
Senator,
able to drink at 20, and they did pass it the next year, but it was
You were
it passed June
grandfathered.
1st, 1984.
Yeah,
It was
grandfathered.
grandfathered.
Yep.
Yeah.
And technically for 11 days, I wouldn't have been able to drink, but I don't know. This doesn't sound very good for me because maybe there's some issues.
you've had a long storied career in politics, sir. Mr.
Oh, yes,
Senator,
well, I
why
mean-
did you get
All
into
right.
politics? So I could drink an extra year.
So I could drink for
No.
an extra 11 days.
Whatever people are passionate about, that's what you
Yeah,
stand for.
exactly.
Oh, no. I mean,
Yeah,
Wouldn't
look
be
at
the first time
prohibition.
laws have been passed in this country so that people can get schnockered.
Yeah, right. No shit, huh?
well,
All
I was
right.
killed.
But that's a great song, Mark.
Yes.
By the way,
It is
Great
it's such
politics and dancing is
thing.
awesome.
Yeah,
Bass.
definitely off my radar too. I mean, not off my radar, but for this exercise. Awesome. So 80s pop song to me, and this is the one where I was saying I might get a little long-winded. All right. But this song is off the Footloose soundtrack, and it's done by Mike Reno of Loverboy and Ann Wilson of Heart, and it's called Almost Paradise. All right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And now this has so much special meaning to me because, once again, 12 years old, I'm at my middle school dance, I believe 6th grade, with a huge crush of mine, Jen, at this point. And I so remember slow dancing to this song.
Oh, how could I have known that all my life I only needed you? Oh, almost paradise. We're knocking on heaven's door. Almost paradise. How could we ask for more? I swear that I could see forever in your eyes. Paradise.
And then winning the dance contest to Footloose. You know what I mean? And
What town were you in at this point?
I
'Cause that
was
could
in
be either-
Guilford at this point, 6th grade. We moved to Guilford when I was 4. So the next year is when I moved to Hinsdale.
Okay.
So, but just, I'm still friends with this girl 40 years later. We still chat occasionally. I actually texted her last night, told her I was going to be mentioning her today. Just this memory to me is so crystal clear. And I got to tell you something out there, Jen. I told you about this not long ago and you didn't fucking remember. So I got to tell you, I'm a little offended here. However, I love you. And it was just, I mean, that whole soundtrack to me is, I'm a metalhead, so to speak, but the pop in the 80s was just fucking undeniable and so much better than the absolute shit that they put out there today. The fakeness, the lip syncing, the tracks, but just
apples to hand grenades, AJ.
Yeah,
That's the
just
difference.
yeah, huge difference. But just, I wanted to pick something that had super meaning to me. There was another song that I did fight with, but that memory to me, just I love the memory, the things, the picks that take us back to a certain place in our lives. And that's why we do this show, people, because it's so fucking fun to go back in time and, really put things into perspective and talk about our favorite memories. So just wanted to say that. So, all right.
Cool.
So to you, Donald.
Cool. Well, I got my feet cut out because I had Jesse's Girl.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I have a backup though.
Good plan. Good plan.
So
Sorry,
my
Don.
backup.
I had 2 of them myself.
I love that song, Jesse's Girl. It was
It's
amazing.
a great song.
Yeah.
Just Rick Springfield was kicking ass back then.
Yeah, he was.
All right.
Well, Jimmy,
But my backup is and I never understood where it came from, but it was Billy Idol's Moni Moni.
Yes.
Where the filler came from. Like everybody was, hey, what? Get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You
Get
know?
laid,
Like,
get
where did that
fucked.
come from?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone just did it.
I have
at a
no
party,
idea.
and it spread like wildfire, and everybody did it. So that was like.
Here she come now, say Monet, Monet. Shoot 'em down, turn around, come on, Monet. Hey, she give me love and I feel alright now.
It's so weird how
tune.
those you think about today, everything goes viral on Instagram or whatever else, but we didn't have that, and it was organic. It went from home to home, and your cousin came to visit, and
town
they
to
brought it back
town.
somewhere, and it went.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm sure it took a little longer than today, right?
Yeah, but
A lot longer.
It just spread out, and
Yeah.
How many?
it was
When
like
did
a
your cousin go to
fun
California?
song,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the 80s had like a million pop hits that you could pick from. And
my God, it's unbelievable.
Awesome. That's a great
real.
backup song for you there, Donald.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Originally, Tommy James and the Shondells.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
Monet.
So
Cool.
we are to number 4 now. And Kevin, that is going to be your
back to me.
favorite 80s 1-hour primetime show.
1 hour prime time show.
Yes.
I had to go with Quantum Leap.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. That was one of my picks. I'm glad
that
that,
was
that was an
good one.
incredible show.
I mean, it was
I loved it.
It was good. There's humor with Dean Stockwell. It was
Yeah,
you
he
had the
was great.
science of him, and it was a cool premise that he had to, he'd appear in different places and have to solve whatever the person's issue was to move to the next space.
Oh, boy.
And it was always kind of cool to find out who he was and what he needed to do.
Yeah. Was he going to be a man or a woman?
Was he going to be a man or a woman, or was he going to be a kid with Down syndrome, or was he going to be, whatever? I think there's one episode that I remember where he was. I think there was a secondary character. It was like a girl's younger brother or something like that, and he was calling the pigs. He was here, Piggy Sue, Piggy Sue, Piggy. It turned out to be Buddy Holly.
Oh, nice.
So they'd hide those little things in there where there'd be something that would be left behind that would turn into something else down the road. So
What was the main character's name?
Sam.
His real name?
Scott
Sam.
Bakula.
Scott
What
Bakula
network was
I
that
was
on?
drawing a blank.
That was
Do you remember?
NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
That was an NBC program.
Yep.
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 Awesome pick, man. Great pick. So now I'm going to go to you, Mark. I won't skip you this time.
Well, thank you.
What a guy.
I just want to be relevant
What
to
a
the
guy.
show, AJ. That's all.
That's all.
Okay, gentlemen, we are about to enter the most fascinating sphere of police work, the world of forensic medicine. Bow, ba-da-da, bow,
Yeah.
bow, bow, ba-da-da, bow, bow. So obviously, this show is called Quincy M.E.
Yes.
With Jack Klugman as Quincy and Gary Wahlberg as Lieutenant Frank Monahan. And this show was just he's a forensic doctor, and he always sees something that the other guys don't. And of course, Lieutenant Monahan never figures that out. No, it's just it was an accident, or it was a suicide, and Dr. Quincy says no, and he always got his man.
Yeah.
Quincy always got his man. I'm a huge Jack Klugman fan.
Klugman was great.
Oscar Madison.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
when that show was popular, I was very confused as to how Oscar Madison became a medical examiner. It just didn't seem right.
Well, no, he wanted a second career. He was a lot neater in this show, but it was just a great show.
Incredible show.
It ran from 76 to 83, so it did go into the 80s. And I don't remember what network it was on, but it was fun. It was always
CBS, but I'm not sure.
Awesome, though.
I guess it doesn't matter, really.
Such a great show.
Yes,
Awesome.
So that's mine.
All right. So let's see. For me, this one ran from 1981 to 1986. I believe it was Wednesday nights and ABC, but don't quote me on that. And that would be The Fall Guy.
Of course. The Fall Guy of Farmer Drive.
Yeah.
I remember.
When I was a kid, I had a stint where I wanted to be a stunt man because I did a lot of stupid shit. But this, starring Lee Majors.
What has changed, AJ?
Yeah. Starring Lee Majors as Colt Seavers. He had his cousin that was Howie Munson, and the beautiful Heather Thomas as Jody Banks. And he's a Hollywood stuntman who, for extra cash on the side, chases after people that have jumped bail. And just one of the greatest opening theme songs done by Lee Majors himself.
I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
And it was just so fucking fun to me, just watching them drive around in his pickup, and just, I don't know. I can't say enough about this. I just couldn't fucking wait for every Wednesday to see this show, and it was just phenomenal. There were so many choices here and so many cuts for me, but this one takes the cake. So
You'd
I
probably
will
be a billionaire today.
Yeah, I will head to you then,
Jump the bail
Donald.
thing.
Oh yeah, right. No kid.
Yeah.
All right.
So I went with Magnum PI.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It
Detroit
was
Tiger.
pretty much I believe it started in 1980. So it started in 1980, ran for 8 seasons, I think, on CBS. I just love the dynamic between Tom Selleck and Higgy Baby.
Yeah,
I always call him Higgy Baby.
Great.
I just love the British, all proper. Oh my God. He'd always get all mad and stuff.
I'll have that drink now. Whiskey, if you please. Don't ruin my whiskey with ice. I'm not a bloody American.
Sorry.
Oh, yes.
And Magnum was just like, yeah, whatever, it'll be fine, And TC, I think Magnum was a Navy SEAL, which is kind of cool before Navy SEALs were cool.
Right.
So it was just a great show.
Awesome.
Driving around in that Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome car.
Now,
yeah.
I got to admit, I didn't watch it a ton. And
No.
that was Hawaii, yes?
Yes.
Was he in Hawaii? Okay.
I'm
I
not
just
sure
wanted to
which
make sure.
island. I want to say Oahu, but I'm not sure
the North
which island
Shore.
they were on.
Awesome.
I
pick,
actually
though.
bought a Detroit Tiger hat because of that show.
But it's interesting.
nice.
that
So you sell
Orson
out, Mark?
Welles played the.
Am I
you know,
what?
there was like a Robin Masters was like the owner of the property who was never there. You would only hear him on like
the intercom
conference call kind of thing.
Exactly.
But that was Orson Welles. Yeah.
Yeah, but they got that from Charlie's Angels, right?
Right.
Correct.
You never saw Charlie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Great pick, though. All of them. Great shows. Definitely. All right. So we are going to number 5 to you, Kevin, and that is going to be probably our most difficult pick of the day, but it's our favorite album of all time.
That is not an easy decision.
Hell no.
But I did end up going with, because it keeps going back to just loving this album. It's one that I can just turn on every once in a while, crank it up, and just enjoy the hell out of it. And that was Waiting for Columbus by Little Feat. And although it's a live album, it is reworkings of a lot of different songs that they had. They brought Tower of Power on the road with them, and so they worked the horn section into a lot of songs that were kind of slower, more laid back on the actual albums, ended up being a lot peppier and, in my opinion, better versions of those songs. Think about like the album version of Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You listen to the album version of that, and you're like,
definitely.
And then they did the live at Budokan where they sped it up and it was loud. It became a hit.
It fucking, not just a hit either. It blew up.
A massive hit. Yeah. So that's kind of what happened with this album. It is probably, in my opinion, one of the best live recordings ever. You had some of the best living musicians at the time. Mick Taylor came in from the Stones on Apolitical Blues. You did have Mimi, Doc, and some of the boys, Lenny Pickett, who on saxophone, who's the band leader on Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
Still to this day. And he's been there since they were funny, but he's still on there today.
Exactly.
But just an amazing album. I was listening to this morning at the gym, and I just had to keep turning it up because it's when the drums come in on the first song, "Fat Man in the Bathtub." It's just like like I said, the recording is just so phenomenal, and you had all of these. I mean, Lil George, arguably the greatest slide player that ever lived. Amazing musicians at their peak.
Incredible.
And all pushing each other and just great tunes.
What a great deep one too, man. And just you were saying about I Want You to Want Me, kind of just how I sneak kiss into everything. That's kind of Rock and Roll All Night too, from Dressed to Kill, the studio album, and then that's what broke them on Kiss Alive. So just that's not uncommon back then. And then a decade later, or 2 decades later, we came into a time where the live album kind of just went extinct, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Because it would just be them playing the actual album while they mouth the words. So
exactly.
Hey, I just bought the live album, and it sounds exactly like
with a crowd behind them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great pick.
I want you to want me. Yeah. Such a great cut. I mean,
what a great album, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark. So do you.
All right, AJ. I have Aerosmith Rocks.
That a boy.
I apologize to my favorite band of all time, Kiss and Ted Nugent. They were my 3 favorite bands back in the 70s. And this album was produced by Jack Douglas, came out May 3rd, 1976. And I mean, there was not a bad song on the record until maybe the last one. It was so ballsy.
I love that last one.
Back in the Saddle, Last Child, Rats in the Cellar, Combination, Sick as a Dog, Nobody's Fault.
Yeah.
Just fucking killer. This to me was Aerosmith's peak.
That's my favorite. I take it over Toys. A lot of people take Toys, but Rocks does it for me. Yep.
I mean, it's classic Aerosmith. They're all on the top of their game, bluesy, hard rock. So in Nobody's Fault, they actually had Brad Whitford playing the guitar solo. So that was really cool. And just ballsy combination, a really tough riff to play. I think I finally figured it out. And just up and down this friggin' record, just classic rock and roll.
Ballsy,
As we
classic
know,
rock and roll.
I mean, as I've said before, Aerosmith kind of went down the wrong path. And it's funny because Home Tonight actually predicted the future and the stuff they were going to do in the mid to late 80s and forward.
Right.
But other than that, just an incredible record.
Awesome.
So that's my pick.
Nice.
Nobody has that, that like kind of walking guitar part like Perry. I mean, he makes that
unreal.
thing like, it's so amazing. And I really think we've talked about it before, but I'll say it again. It's like two bands.
Right?
It was
Absolutely.
a great band from Get Your Wings to Done with Mirrors, and then Permanent Vacation and After.
Yeah.
Again, you can't blame these guys for cashing in and making money, but I don't want to hear it.
Something they said, or Eddie Trunk said, is that I think it was South America that the fans, they don't even know 70s Aerosmith. Like, they just know the 80s shit. And that's just really fucking backwards to me. You know what I mean? Just
can you imagine that? Because like one of my favorite things with music is to find out where stuff came from.
Absolutely.
So can you imagine thinking like Janie's Got a Gun is like the pinnacle, and then going back and finding Chip Away the Stone?
Yeah, I know shit.
And that's like gold, Jerry.
Like that's how so many people get into so many bands.
Right.
That's how they go back, because if you
Lightning
like
strikes.
something, you go find their old
Toys in
shit.
the attic.
And
Uncle Salty.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great song. Yeah.
All right. Well, to me, and I'm gonna get hung out to dry for this one.
Nice.
But I'm not talking to you listeners out there. I'm looking at us members here, and I'm going to do the old Coming to America, and I'm going to go, fuck you, and fuck you. Who next?
Fuck you.
But
you're cool.
I am going with 1978's Paul Stanley solo album.
Okay, why would you?
All right.
I never saw that coming.
I know. I mean, when you think about what is out there for music and the fact that I'm going with this, I don't care, man. This album to me, from top to bottom, is absolutely flawless with one exception, which I've discussed on Preachers of the Night, our little Kiss side cast. But Hold Me, Touch Me was the single that those fucking morons decided to release. And it was the worst, most unlistenable song on the album. But the other songs on this album are pure rock and roll, pure attitude with the vocals, friggin' lots of incredible guitar. Bob Kulick's on it. And Carmine Appice. I always get the Appice, and that's Vinny, but Carmine Appice, on the drums a lot on this album. And just, I can't tell you all how much I love this fucking album. It's possibly, I guess since I'm picking it in this slot, if it were a Kiss album, it would be my favorite Kiss album. I was always a Paul guy, but this album to me takes.
Yet he's wearing an Ace shirt, which is what I am. I'm an Ace guy.
I don't have my Paul one clean. But anyway.
Oh, is that what it is? I'm a cult member of the Ace cult.
But anyway, so, yep, that's what I'm going with.
So did they release that single? I would just like to take a moment to commend Mark for picking a non-Kiss.
That was. I'm proud of you, brother. I thought he was going with Lick It Up or Creatures for sure, but or Carnival
worry,
or Carnival.
Never mind.
All right. And that's what I have to say about it. So awesome, Donald. That's to you.
So, like when you're taking an exam and they always tell you to go with the first thing that pops in your head, go with your first choice.
Yes.
To pick the favorite album, I go with the first thing that pops in my head. And for the 80s and my childhood and growing up, it was Def Leppard Pyromania.
I knew he was going with
my
that.
favorite
Me
album.
too.
I've said it on a
Great
cast.
record. Great fucking record.
And I couldn't like put it aside because I love that album. There's just every song on that album I get into, I love. Even like I'm at a meeting the other night and they're like, we need action, not words. And the first thing that comes in my head, give me action. Action.
Too bad you didn't have it right up on your phone. You could have displayed
I was pulling it up. I'm like, we got to play this song. So, it's like so many things pop into my head like that. And I just love that album.
Incredible friggin' album for sure.
That's my favorite Def Leppard album for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Donald, something just struck me. The name of the album, Pyromania. Is there any correlation between that and your chosen profession?
Yeah, I never thought of that. Right?
No, it's uncorrelated. Yeah,
good
there
call.
Seems to be a lot of guys in that line of work that. Fire.
Romania.
Awesome. What a great fucking pick,
Great
though.
album. Yeah.
Roll. You betcha.
And they just, MTV and it all struck at the same time, and Photograph, and it just like,
I didn't like the later albums. They were good. I went to them and I loved, but that was rocking.
Yeah. Fucking
and
High and Dry prior, incredible.
Oh yeah.
And then Hysteria, we've beaten Hysteria to death, but just
it was good.
They didn't fuck up economically with that.
That was almost a flat
album. Yep.
Awesome. So
again, can't fault the guys for getting paid.
Right.
Awesome. All right. So we're moving on to number 6 here, Kevin, to you, and that is favorite 80s live concert.
So again, so many great shows to see back then that I actually got to, and some that I didn't quite make it to.
Or remember.
This one was just head and shoulders above the rest. It's people talk about it. It was so memorable. It was over 331 nights. They did 189 shows. They went back and forth through Europe twice, came back to the States. They went back to Europe, I believe. They went to Australia, came back to the States, went to Japan, then to Australia, got canceled 2 gigs in New Zealand, and then arrived back on the U.S. shores on May 23rd, 1985 for the Power Slave World Slavery Tour.
Sir.
I'm talking, of course, about Iron Maiden.
I was wondering when you were going to get to it.
I wanted to drag it out. That was it. At one point, they were talking about how it had to end. They felt like they were part of the scenery, part of the machinery.
Right.
Think about that. That's a year of their lives.
Fucking right. Every other night, more than every other night.
More than every other night. Exactly. 189 shows. I don't know who mapped out that tour for them.
Whoever was making the most money mapped it out.
Of course. Good Lord, you could be a little more linear than that.
Did they have the 747 Iron Maiden jet back then?
I don't think that Bruce had his pilot license.
He wasn't
at that
flying
time.
right?
I don't think it came until later. But he certainly could have logged some miles on that tour. As a matter of fact, I forgot to mention that they did the first Rock in Rio, and they had left. I think they went from Japan to the States, and then left for that one date, the Rock in Rio with Queen and Whitesnake, and played in front of 350,000 people. And then a couple weeks later played for me and like 60 of my friends at Cumberland County. No, it was sold out, but just a massive tour. It was incredible. It was really the pinnacle of Iron Maiden and their live shows.
5 o'clock, they take me to the gallows. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The sands of time for me are running
low. Egyptian pharaoh-based stage.
Magician.
What's that? The Egyptian I do magic. I'm also known for taking large pieces of furniture. Never mind.
That's Jack Torser.
Yes. But I mean, and again, I still say as much as it was awesome, and that was when you could fight to the front. So I was like there looking at Steve Harris and Bruce Dickinson and just, being like 10 feet away from those guys was at that time was just so amazing. Such a great show. And the pinnacle of that show was Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner!
So incredible that, they had the boat creaking noises playing in the background, and they had, I don't know if you remember that stage, but they had the triangular shaped cans.
Yeah.
So all the multicolored cans, and those would start moving up and down to the creaking, and
Awesome.
it was a spectacle beyond everything else at that time. And it just ingrained in my memory.
Awesome.
And fantastic time. Just a great show. They had, I think, 11 different openers on that tour. That's how long that tour lasted. Twisted Sister, Rat was there for one show as a third on the bill. There was a couple Hungarian bands when they were over in Europe that I've never heard of before.
Can you imagine seeing Rat, Twisted Sister, and Maiden?
I know, right?
What a fucking great time. And just to not off subject, but you mentioned GA, man, General Admission.
Yeah.
God, I don't miss it like
we almost got killed watching Ted Nugent in Springfield opening up for Aerosmith.
Oh, you almost
we were down
got
there.
killed. I'm
sorry, AJ. The rush to the crowd. I've never been more afraid in my fucking life. I thought I was going to get crushed.
It's the same guy that almost ran over you in Quebec.
Yeah.
The cool thing with General Admission, though,
just to put this out there. Go ahead, Donald.
Go to the front. You can go to the front, fight for the front for a little while, but then if you wanted to go back and chill out, you could wander. That was so great about General Admission.
Sit wherever you wanted. But I just want to give if anyone ever goes to a GA show, I did this so many times through the 80s. All right. This is a very wise piece of advice. You may look a little bit classless. However, you fight your way to the front and, you're getting a little tired. You want to get out of there. Turn around and start dry heaving. Everyone gets the fuck out of your way. There's like a corridor for you to leave. I did it every show. I loved it.
Well,
nobody wants to get puked on. Trust me.
No.
Maybe I'll talk about this during my next pick, but I'll bring it up briefly.
Well, that's good, brother, because the next pick is you. So go for it.
Before I get to my pick, I saw Starship back in 86 or 87. No, it had to be 87. We went down there, and if you can, have a guy that weighs about 350, 450, whatever, and part the Red Sea. And that was an incredible concert. But my pick goes back to February 24th, 1984. It is Lick It Up at the Worcester Centrum.
Oh, I knew you were going for that one.
I asked somebody I worked with at Kmart at the time to get me some beer, and he said no. That we never got along after that. But anyway, let that go. We took a bus down, one of those Greyhound type buses, Concord Trailways or whatever. And I went with my beloved late brother David.
Yes,
and it was their first, obviously, non-makeup tour. but the fucking songs they did. Oh, by the way, Accept opened up for them.
Yep.
But anyway, they
Opening
opened up
bill.
with Creatures of the Night, and these are my favorite two Kiss albums are Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up. I mean, Carnival of Souls they never toured behind, but anyway, so Creatures fits like a glove. Give Me More. Kevin loves that song. War Machine. I Love It Loud. I Still Love You. All Hell's Breaking Loose. Lick It Up and Young and Wasted. What incredible fucking concert.
Yes.
And I could do without the Paul Stanley solo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, just
that'll go down in history.
A waste of time, but I mean, obviously, Vinnie Vincent. He probably played his solo a little bit too long, but he was an incredible guitar player. And Eric fucking Carr.
Yes, sir.
What a shot of adrenaline that he gave Kiss.
Fucking
and now
right.
he's into his prime now because now they're playing. I mean, right up his alley. This was such a great show. I mean, it wasn't a sold out audience or anything, but it was pretty full and just so much fun. And to go there with my brother David, two massively huge Kiss fans, and we were trying to groom AJ to become the same as us. He wasn't allowed to be anything else, but what a great show. Just my first Kiss concert of all time.
Awesome.
And you succeeded there.
Yes.
You and David succeeded greatly. If that was your
they sure did.
if that was your mission to make AJ a Kiss fan and not let
I think we did. I think
everything else. I would say that was a success.
Well,
yes, I would agree.
Speaking of which, I shall go to my number 6, and this also taking place in 1984, only a bit later in the year. November 23rd, 1984. And that would be Kiss at the Worcester Centrum on the Animalized tour. This is my first, not only my first concert ever, but of course my first Kiss concert ever. And you want to talk about being on top of the world. Okay, once again, here I am, as many of my picks were, at 12 years old, just going to a fucking arena for the first time in my life, going in with both of my brothers who were my idols, and just, hold on, I'm going to get emotional. But just going into the Centrum and going to see Kiss, who, like Mark said, I was forced into loving, but I mean, I can't thank them enough for that. But this is where I call him Fuck Paul, because this is when Paul Stanley, trying to move out of the kiddie pool from Dynasty on, when, you know, all the families started coming in.
The average age of the fan was like 14 at that point.
And, you know, parents are bringing their kids.
Not a fact, just a
so joke. Paul just, and I mean, the whole band, they started playing faster to keep up with the times. And then Paul said fuck every other word to say, we're not here for the kids. We're here to be rock and roll again. And just that. And anyone out there listening to me, any family or whatnot, please forgive me for this comment. But one of my memories of this show, Mark and I had great seats just behind the floor in the loge. David had a better seat. He paid for it. But Mark and I were together here, and I'm 12, remember. Paul Stanley says, how many people out there like to fuck? And of course, I jump up on my chair, my arms are up in the air pumping, and I'm screaming my head off. And there's my brother Mark turning around at me and going, sit down, protecting his 12-year-old little brother. But anyway, that memory to me is so important, and I will never forget it as long as I live, man. As long as I live. So thank you for letting me
mention the
rant
concert
there.
lasted 42 minutes because
They played each song in a minute and a half.
Seconds. Yeah.
Oh, man. Awesome. Okay, Donald, that's to you.
Cool. So, yeah, back in the 80s, we were trying to hit every band, every show. So, I mean, there were so many good ones to choose from.
Oh, absolutely.
But I went with David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile tour, just because I love the energy of that tour.
What a great tour that was.
Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, Greg Bissonette, just David Lee Roth, just full of energy. I mean, like the stage show wasn't anything to write home about, but it was just like a good energy, fun show. And
he at least came in on the surfboard and stuff. Remember coming across the arena?
Cool Manchester on the river.
This was
definitely.
I was at that show. I don't remember.
And I saw him in Worcester,
and we saw them in Portland, Donald.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, my first concert ever was Van Halen 5150.
Yep.
So it was kind of like full circle seeing David
tying
and those guys too. But
did you say that Vi was with him at that time? Because he didn't hang out long.
Vi was with David Lee Roth. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I loved him. Like the Crossroads solo, the movie Crossroads.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That was like, I love this guy. Who is this guy?
Ralph Macchio taught him how to play guitar. So very cool.
Right.
What was the date on that one?
Schooled him.
It was 1986, I believe, but I'm not sure when the Manchester tour was.
I just I loved having the background. David,
Manchester was a great place to see a show.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get there and, for us, it was 40 minutes to get to Manchester. And it was like general admission and you could easily get up front if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that Worcester show, I had tickets to that Worcester show. The day before I received my driver's license. And I was so mad and could not understand why my parents wouldn't give me the brand new car with a 1-day-old driver's license to drive to Worcester, Massachusetts to see a concert.
Right.
That didn't make any sense.
The tickets never got redeemed. I ended up drunk underneath a tree down the street from my buddy's house and slept under the tree that night because I was so pissed at my parents because they just didn't understand and it wasn't fair.
Oh, man. What a great show, though. So just to give you guys the dates on that, October 5th and 6th, 1986, they played the Centrum. And then where was it? On November 2nd, they played Portland, Maine. I remember being at that one for sure, but I can't find New Hampshire on there.
Summertime.
Yeah, I can't find it.
It was warm. Yeah.
Could have been the Skyscraper tour too.
Do you remember who opened on that?
Didn't say. I don't remember.
No.
So anyway, Kevin, we're back to you for our last pick of the day in the old Mish-Mash. And didn't know really how to name this category, but kind of the dumbest thing we did in the 80s, something maybe you could do then and not now, but it's pretty vague. So I just call it the dumbest thing. So to you.
So the dumbest thing, and it's funny because I learned something.
He was drinking under the tree after not being able to go to the concert.
Yeah, right. No, I learned something today, the background of something that we proved at that time. You realize, remember earlier we were talking about how rumors worked back then and how stories, the Mikey and Pop Rocks and all those stories that
drink them with
organically went across the country from house to house and school to school. So anyway, so this was one of those rumors that went around, and we were actually dumb enough to try it. And it was that if you could, you took a banana peel and you scraped it off and you put it in the oven and you baked it, and then you could smoke the banana peel and get high.
Smoking banana peel, sour pills. Living is easy with ice cubes. World is swimming, electric eels. Talk serious to me, brother. Smoking banana peel, saving the seals. There are 4 means living all got together. To keep an even keel. You gotta take life serious. Smoking banana peels in between meals. I was all pumped up about it. Let's all break it down and kneel. Smoking banana peels sound like...
We proved this to be 100% false. Debunked. But today, when looking up to see if it was just, something that happened in our area or whether it was one of these nationwide phenomenons, I looked it up, and bananidine is a fictional psychoactive substance which is supposedly extracted from banana peels. A hoax recipe for its extraction from banana peel was originally published in the Berkeley Barb in March of '67. This recipe was itself an excerpt from the upcoming San Francisco Oracle issue, which was likely done in an attempt to give the hoax more validity. So it was actually a spoof hoax article.
You fell for it, Kevin. You fell for it.
And in 1980, whatever, it was still, because we didn't have the internet to disprove it, right? So we had to.
I've never seen anything on the internet that didn't.
Yeah, I believe I've heard milkweed was involved in that as well. Many other fruits and vegetables.
Bananidine. At that time, we were in Beast, my buddy Beast. We were in his light blue 71 Dodge Charger that was cherry. We took it to prom. It was awesome. It was an awesome ride. But I just remember sitting in that thinking that we were gonna get high smoking banana peels. So that's the dumbest thing that I could think of.
You didn't have the placebo effect? You didn't
like
work?
I said, it was about the same as if you just held your breath for longer than you should have.
Okay.
I think that was the same head rush that you would get from all of that work.
Well, you learned one thing that day. You're dumb.
You're dumb.
That was dumb.
Awesome pick. All
I
right.
don't feel like I'm going to be the dumbest one here, though.
Probably not.
Well, I don't know.
but-
We'll see.
All right, Mark. So do you.
Let me take you back. Summer 1981, Weir's Beach. I mean, I don't know how I got there that night, but somehow I had no ride home. I remember sitting at the actual beach part telling somebody, he says, "Oh, my heart bleeds for you, Anyway, so I'm like, I guess I hitchhike back home to Guilford. We were on Farmer Drive at the time. So, I mean, it's like I said, after midnight, and I'm hitchhiking.
My mother told me never to do this.
So I'm hitchhiking. I'm down like in that straightaway, and all of a sudden somebody's picking me up. Oh, thank God. Wait a minute. Those are blue lights. Son of a bitch. And so, all right, I get a ride home, and I don't remember what the cop said on the way back to Farmer Drive. He gave me a ride all the way there. And I'm like, okay, just drop me off, officer. Drop me off. Now, he had to come in the house and say your son was hitchhiking after midnight obviously in the dark, and he's had a few to drink. Damn it!
Thrown under the bus. You know what, Mark? That fucking cop drove you home like they used to do and not to the police station with a record, right? Think of it
Is
that
what they would
way.
have done today?
Oh, hell yeah. That's what they did 10 years after that. Because I know from experience, dude.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't think that was, people don't I still see a hitchhiker here and there once in a great while. But at that point, it was normal. But after midnight, I could have got picked up by a friggin' who knows
Well,
what.
nowadays it would be shunned upon. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty dumb for sure.
Okay, it was dumb, but you know what? I did
dumb.
That was dumb.
I learned a lesson, and that's probably the dumbest thing I did that, wasn't really, really super dumb, but
Ugh.
it was dumb.
Well, nowadays you would have been trafficked.
Oh my God, no shit. And I was a pretty boy back then, you know. So
all right. Well, this I have a list a mile long, and
no
shortage
shit.
of dumb.
no shortage of dumb. Exactly. I had to go with this one because it's so dangerous, you know. So I hear or heard, but we called it putting out. Okay.
Say that again.
Putting out. Now, not like a slut putting out. Just give me a minute and I'll finish here.
Right.
But made me think about it, Kev, when you said holding your breath for 45 seconds. But in middle school, we would huff and puff, try to hyperventilate for a bit, and then lean up against a wall, and your good friend or best friend or buddy would then squeeze both sides of your neck and cut off all the oxygen to your brain.
I remember doing that with the rib cage.
You would, all of a sudden, you'd pass out. You could wake up with bruises because you don't know if your friend caught you or not. We would do this constantly. You would always have the craziest fucking dreams while it was happening. I can't explain it. Like, unless you have done it, you wouldn't understand it. But the only thing that I could compare it to you, for all you deadheads out there, are people that have done nitrous before. It's the same exact experience. You pass out. And that's when I say that noise, that's what's going through your ears and your body. It's the most fucked up thing, and kids were dying from it left and right, and we're doing this every day at recess. And
so guys,
isn't that
you ready?
Isn't that how Michael Hutchinson died from InXS?
Are you serious?
Good. No.
No, that was auto asphyxiation. He was
which is the same mechanism.
It's the same idea, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Mark?
To the brain. Yeah.
Is that? Repeat after me. That was.
Yeah, exactly. So 7 to you, Donald.
All right. So my dumb thing is also probably one of the most funniest things that I remember from my childhood. Like the funniest thing I can recall. And I remember the first time I did it and then subsequent multiple times doing it after. And that was lighting farts on fire.
Batmobiles.
Like the first time I ever saw it happen, it was like, oh my God, it's true. Like, you know, it was one of those myths that you didn't believe it. And then you saw it. And it was like, I never laughed as hard as I did in my life. But I remember in Hinsdale.
Time out.
We did it with.
I'm cutting you off, Donald. Don't use names here because I don't want to embarrass our friend.
I won't embarrass any friends, but a friend may have singed eyebrows.
Oh, he definitely did. It was literally like the real Batmobile shooting flames.
We called it the Batmobile because that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
A full afterburner of an F-14, and
now
the question is, doing that
I gotta cut.
Why the hell was his face that close to your
I gotta tell you. I gotta tell this story. I gotta tell this story. All right,
one, Kevin.
Now we have
It's a legitimate question.
We
Yes,
have
it is.
3 13-year-old boys, great friends, hanging out, and we're laughing our ass off about this because we heard the rumor. So rather than trying to do it yourself, somebody would get on their hands and knees, and the other person would go behind them with a lighter and flick it on. And, full arm's length. That's how bad this was. Full arm's length.
Maybe that's why they call it gas.
And Donnie fucking lights it up. And our good buddy who shall not be named, rips one and fucking singes Donnie's eyebrows.
It was you?
It was
Oh
the
my God.
funniest, scariest thing ever. But just to witness
That's dumb.
That's dumb.
That's
Yes,
dumb.
it was
That is dumb. But by far one of the funniest things ever.
Oh, yeah.
In humanity is
Ever.
farts are funny on their own. Never mind.
Oh, of course.
Lighting them on fire.
I'll never forget that, Donald. Oh, that was spectacular.
That was
You guys are
dumb.
geniuses, I tell you.
Too funny. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you guys very much. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
Oh, out there. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
AJ.
Of course.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So excited about this. Folks, thank you for listening. We can't thank you enough. Just to see the action that is happening on all the platforms is so exciting. And it's great to see so many of you, paying attention and hanging out with us. So please reach us at pta80h@gmail.com. Once again, that's pta80h@gmail.com. Something we're going to do in the future too is really try to get a lot of you involved. So please shoot us an email. We'll get you in via email or even, online with us. So thank you all so much.
Tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to see, what you'd like to hear.
And find us on YouTube now too.
Yes.
Don't forget to mention
Find us
that
on
once in a
YouTube. Let
while.
us know if you want to see Donnie's eyebrows burnt off with a fart.
With a nice
we
rip.
might be able to arrange that. Who knows?
Right.
Awesome, guys. Well, great show, and we are out.
You've been listening to Pastimes at 80's High. Our passion is the nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. When times were more simple, times were more fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And we weren't stuck in our phones all day.
Inconceivable!
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can send an email to pastimes@80shigh@gmail.com and hit the website at pastimes@80shigh.com. See you next time.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.